You know my pinned tweet is like just a link to a Monster Mash basically.
Hmm.
It's been quote tweeted by a fucking porn bot.
Yes.
Superb.
This is how we'll get more listeners.
She says, that awesome," and then pair of lips and a tongue face from at Jezzy Bay.
It caught on in a flash.
They played the mash.
They played the Monster Mash.
I'm Luke Summerhaze.
I'm James J. Moyles.
I'm Andrew Rice.
I'm James the Jester Stewart.
And you're listening to Monster Mash.
And this week's episode, we're hunting the Duramboros.
Ooh.
Giant brute wyverns with hammer-like growths on their tails. They subsist on fallen or withered trees, often using their tails to knock said trees over. Researchers speculate that the lumps on their backs act as some sort of energy source.
I don't like the word growth. Like, it sounds like it's not meant to be there.
They've all just got a bad case of warts on their tails.
Like
Well,
the
I mean-
Durams are like somehow infected by like eating all these trees.
He's a weird ass shape, so you wouldn't think that's a very natural way to be, would you?
He is bipedal, but he's so hunched over. I only noticed, like, the other day that he's like a T-Rex. I always assumed he was on four
What?
legs.
Whoa, I just thought he was on foot. Whoa, just look at his art. Holy shit, that is a
Yeah, you
revelation.
get tiny
What?
arms.
How have you
In
not
front
noticed
arms.
that?
I don't know why, I just assumed he was on four legs.
That is, oh, wow, okay. I've never noticed
Yeah.
that.
I can't believe you haven't noticed that. Like, it's so obvious to me.
But yeah, despite the fact that he is on two legs like a dinosaur, he is sort of like a ram or a sheep, hence the name. With his big, are they called horns on a sheep? I guess they are.
I
think so,
Like,
yeah.
curving round to his face. And then, just because he's so sort of hulking and sculpted over, yeah, and he fucking spins around like a maniac, which I've not actually seen a sheep do, to be fair.
I love when he spins. Like we talked to like on previous episodes. I think we actually brought up the Duramboros in an earlier episode as well. I think as an example of, these big hulking titans also being quite goofy at times, which the
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Duramboros certainly is.
And he goes from sort of really slow and lumbering along, and then when he does that spin attack, like I think the game describes it as he can only do it because it's his tail that's like carrying him.
Yeah, it's
It's the momentum of that.
It's like a counterweight.
So he swings his tail so hard that he just spins like a fucking ballerina. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the Duram is like one of my favourite fights in all of Monster Hunter. Like because of that the whole spinning mechanic, and I like try to kind of time my rolls to kind of get through and get enough damage on his legs to kind of trip him up.
It's hard. I can't do it. I can only do it with the art, the absolute evasion.
Mm.
I've managed to adept roll into him, but I never have enough time to get an attack in before he hits me again.
Yeah, I think you just need a standard roll. Like to be honest, if you're adept or like using the absolute evasion, it's going to be hard to kind of space it out.
Well, maybe absolute readiness might manage it, because then you're drawing
Yeah.
as soon as you do the roll, but not evasion because you're gonna have to take time and draw, and yeah, it's tough.
Like I fought him a fair bit, so like kind of used to doing it like from fighting for the first time in 3 Ultimate.
Was he introduced in Tri or 3 Ultimate?
It was actually portable.
Three. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I found that out today. Like I thought he was introduced in 3 Ultimate, but apparently it was the PSP portable top game.
So I
Yeah,
definitely
some
remember
Tri.
fighting him with you on 3 Ultimate at least once. And this might be another case of where I was well under levels and you brought me along. But I remember him blowing my fucking mind just because of how huge he is. And it's like fighting the actual world. The way he's like a mountain with the grass growing on him and stuff.
That's it, big disco mountain, isn't he?
Disco Mountain, that's a good fucking nickname for him.
I do like that you can see how long like the mounds, the humps even, I suppose you could call them, and like even his tail as well, how long they've been on him, because they've actually got moss growing on them.
Yeah, well, in a lot of the introductory videos, you see just the mound, so it looks like part of the landscape, and then a monster will get too close and get eaten or something. But
Yeah, a lot of like the quest descriptions like mention like a mountain or like the fact I was painting these mountains and then I decided to move out of the way.
yeah, that's a good one. That was the capture quest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I want you to capture him so we can paint him.
That makes him sound really similar to what's the monster called? Not the Gravios, the other one.
The Visarius.
Monoblos?
Basarios, that's the one. That's the one. Obviously, because the intro video there in for Ultimate for the Basarios is literally that. Like you jump onto two rocks, just
Mhm.
kind of to survey the landscape, and then the rocks start moving and outlumbers this monster. But then again, there's more to the. That's the whole Basarios thing. Is it's a kind of a stealth monster in that way. Whereas Duramboros, I think he's not there. He's not there to hide. He can take you in a fight.
Yeah, he's not hiding, he's just slow.
Yeah. It's interesting that they describe them as like being filled with like energy. I suppose that makes them. It's like a camel's humps are for, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they are humps like a camel, so it could just be that. Or it's like the plants are actually feeding him like power. He's photosynthesizing through them.
That's cool. I like
That
that. I like
explains
that
like the
idea.
moss on his back and that as well.
Yeah,
But then again,
because
I
then
guess
also obviously he only eats trees and stuff, and that's not a great diet for a fucking big fighting dinosaur to live on. I wouldn't have thought.
I don't think he wants to fight. I think he just wants to.
No, but he can spin when he has to.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the descriptions like they also like it describes them as like being like really docile and like only attacks like when provoked. So it's kind of a shame to kind of kill the thing.
Yeah, he's quite a friendly old pal. He's not difficult either, to be honest. Like I've never had trouble fighting him. Maybe that's because I've
No,
always fought him with like,
he's a fun fight because you get to do you dodge under his spins and
that's it.
wait for him to jump in the air and stuff. But he leaves you some big old openings to hit him in.
Like even stuff like his charge, and like I've never ever found like I have to like run away and heal, and like you do in other big fights, like like against a Joe or a Rajang or something, but not against Duramboros.
So I'm fairly sure the Duramboros has a fan in Jordan Vogt Roberts, the director of Kong Skull Island.
All right, how's that?
There's a monster in that. It's called the Skur Buffalo, and it is definitely a Duramboros.
100% it's got to be. Like I'd be very shocked if he kind of came out and said that it wasn't based on Dura.
Because they first encounter it, it's like a big rock in some water with like moss growing on it, and then it stands up, and it's actually like a buffalo with big horns,
Oh, nice.
and like lumbers along really slowly, and it's very similar.
Just in a wee Google.
But he has yet to reply to our tweets.
Oh man.
The shock.
Oh yeah, I've just had a look at it. Yeah, okay, that is very similar.
Yeah, I'll definitely include a link in the show notes.
Very cool, very cool. What about his name, Lucky Boy? Did you find out anything about that?
Yeah, there's a good little piece on his name on the Capcom Unity website.
Oh, yeah.
The Japanese name for this monster is Doborubaraku, which is a combination of multiple words from different languages. You can imagine that creating such a combination would be pretty difficult in Japanese or in any other language. For the localized version, we want to do our best to follow the Japanese name, so we based Duramboros' name around three words: Duro, Italian for hard, Ambulat, Latin for walk, and Oros, Greek for mountain, to create the mighty Duramboros. Roar! Luckily enough, Duramboros also wields a pair of rock-hard horns similar to a ram, so the ram part also emphasises what makes this monster so fearsome.
Oh, nice. That's a really clever name, all told. Then I like it.
Yeah, he has literally written "roar" in his.
Yeah. I found that earlier. I just saw that and he's got really into this localization blog.
But I can't find anything on what the words that make up the Japanese name actually were. But oh well.
It's better than some of them were like, yeah, he was orange, so and he looks like a dinosaur, so we called him Orange.
Orangelos. Yeah.
So that's a really clever name. Nice one, localization team. Thumbs up.
He's also got pretty cool armor.
Oh yeah.
It's really like asymmetrical, and looks like it's quite naturally grown, like from a tree or something. And the helmet's got his horns, so it makes you look like Shagga, son of Dolph from Game of Thrones.
Not the Dovahkiin, no.
I'm not as familiar with the Dovahkiin.
That's fine.
But you know.
That's just the first time. If you say Horde helmet, I'll be like, oh, Skyrim dude.
No, but it also looks pretty rustic and barely held together,
Okay, cool.
and looks like he wants to cut off your manhood and feed it to the goat.
a subspecies, but it's from Free U, so I won't have thought
Yeah,
it.
the rust Duramboros.
So I've been looking at it a bit. The Rust Duramboros doesn't like it's that different. He just sort of is in a different area. Is that about right?
I think the biggest thing is a fucking prick. Like, genuinely, the damage that guy does is insane. Like,
Yeah, it seems to hit a hell of a lot harder than a normal Duram, for sure.
and he's fucking huge. Like, I mean, the Duram's big, but the Rust is like double. Like, it's insane how big he is.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because as well as the Rust Duramboros, there's an event quest for the Rust Duramboros where it's even fucking bigger. Like, you know how the you know how we had like the comedy event quest where you get a tiny version of the monster. This is the opposite. He's like one of his toes is a hunter sort of thing. I was watching some YouTube videos of him. He looks ridiculous. I think it's like one of the biggest non-elder dragons in the whole series.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think we actually did try that because I do remember an absolutely ridiculous sized one. Like,
Yeah, I remember that as well.
It
Pain.
said,
think-
on you go, Jazz.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the other thing with the Rust Duramboros as well is that its tail's more of an axe than a hammer.
Yeah, so that would explain why he does so much more damage, I guess,
Yeah.
because he's giving you a good slice.
It said it inflicts the muddy ailment as well, which isn't one I'm aware of.
it's just like snow, but mud. Like,
I think that's just because normally you fight the rust in the sandy plains, so it's just kicking up the sand at you.
So next week, be like at Jezzy Bay and come listen to our episode on the Lava Sea Off. I'm sure it's going to be a good one.
If you've enjoyed this, then you can follow us on Twitter at MonsterMashPod. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, all of that. So if you could just look us up, give us a like and a subscribe, a 5-star review, rate and review, tell all your friends. That'd be great, because it would be nice to have people other than porn bots listening to our podcast.
although if you are a porn bot, don't feel put off. We love you too.
In fact, we'd actually ask you to tweet at AndyMan949 how much you love him.
And if you're not a porn bot, you could tweet at VOGT, I don't know how to pronounce his surname, Roberts,
Voight?
and ask him if the Duramboros really is based the inspiration behind the Skull Buffalo in Kong Skull Island.
Maybe we'll find out. Podcast doing some good. On that note, thank you for listening.
See ya!
Goodbye.
Let's go.
Oh, guess what nickname I got at my new job today?
What was that?
It's been referenced on this podcast before.
Cuck.
No, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide.
Brilliant. It's with me.
Your pet bill.
Yep.
No, the Duramboros is not sharp.
Hey, disco,
Fuck.
disco hell, innit? Like the Bee Gees.
You can tell by the way I spin my tail.
Is he sleeping? Or is he just not moving?
No, he just did a big jump.
Oh. A big sheep. Big horns, innit? Big ram.
Ram, yes.
Oh, duh,
It's the
Duramboros.
Ram.
Blah, blah,
Hey,
blah.
hey.
He's not done his big
Chris
spin,
Shaggy
wouldn't he?
did.
Has he?
Yeah, he did that before he got in the area. That's what he did.
Don't believe you.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't see it. Didn't
Oh, cheeky
They
cunt.
don't lie.
If a Duramboros spins in the woods and nobody's around to see it, did it happen?
Literally, someone was around to see it.
I'm not saying you were anybody, have you?
Ooh.
In a recent poll done by Monster Mash fans, you were voted their least favourite.
That's not true. So,
We've only got one fan, so they could only vote for a favourite.
Well, exactly, and a least favourite. What area did he go to?
this
5.
one
No, he
immediately
never.
next to it. We literally saw him walk into it. I don't know what he's chatting about.
Right, okay.
Behind you.
It was like
Behind you.
fucking Scooby Doo. Like walk past each other, like.
Ruh-roh, Ruh-roh-roh.
Oh shit! Rathian.
Evening.
Couldn't place you.
Oh yeah. Hey,
There it
Bips.
was. Showing up fucking late.
You're bringing sexy back. You're up.
I want in the episode this week, not the fucking Duran. Rawr.
Take it to the bridge.
I think we can kill it in the next 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, definitely.